You want to electrify your home? That's great, because this video is about the experience we had switching from gas to electric. It's gonna get a little bit technical and the focus is on the installation, so grab a cup of coffee and let's talk about it. Before you decide on a heating and cooling system, you probably want to crunch the numbers. I've done that in a couple of videos linked in the description below. If you only want to be as environmentally friendly as possible, then go geothermal.
Oh yeah, this guy. For me, it's not just about individually getting off fossil fuels or cleaning up the air in my own home. It's also about, saving the planet.
If I were to install a heating and cooling system again, I would go for geothermal. Back then, I called up geothermal companies trying to get quotes, and they literally were talking me out of it because they had more attractive projects. They had industrial and commercial projects that I, as a small individual homeowner, could not compete with. Electric heaters or electric resistance heating systems are actually toasters. You run electricity through a resistor and that turns into heat. Another advantage of electric heating and cooling is that it's much easier to install yourself compared to at least vertical geothermal, which you need specific equipment for.
If I could go back and tell people how to do this correctly from the start, I would say solar should be the very last thing you do, because your solar system is sized to all the other stuff you do. And so we just were like, well, we just want solar, we don't care. And so we put solar on. But actually it matters, the size of the system that you need and all of those things. The moment that we realized that you could, use a heat pump, that it wouldn't be that expensive, and in fact it would be just as good, if not better, than the gas alternative. That was like a very big piece of the wall coming down between us and the end game.
Our plan is to expand the solar panel system so that it can meet the requirements of the heating. When we installed our solar panel system, we couldn't go beyond 120%. That was a limit given by the utility. So first thing you want to do is determine the size of your electric heater. There are pages linked in the description below that help you to do that. In our case, we also had a very well-functioning swamp cooler that would have been made obsolete if we had installed a geothermal or an air source heat pump, because with any heat pump system, you can heat and cool your home. Another great advantage of electric heating and cooling is that it enables zoning, so you can heat up each room to a different temperature in your building. In terms of deciding for a specific electric heater, you want to make sure that it's really quiet in the rooms that you need to be quiet. I'm noise sensitive, and we were to install electric heaters in the living room, the studio, and the master bedroom, which are all rooms that I prefer to be really quiet. So there are the ones with and without fan, and the ones with fan have the risk, I actually tried one, that they're a little bit noisy. So if you wanted to be really quiet, just take an electric heater without a fan. My husband suggested the Stelpro Mirage, which was actually perfect for our purposes. I tried getting the ones without a thermostat because I knew in advance that I was going to install smart thermostats in every room, but they simply didn't have it available. I called the company, called the distributors, and they had a shortage because of the great demand of electric heaters, which is great. So I purchased from Home Depot just because it was easy to get and easy to return in case there was anything wrong with it, which there wasn't. I got a total of 5 Stelpros, 2 2000 watt heaters for the living room, 2 2000 watt heaters for the studio, and 1 1500 watt for the master bedroom. My husband also installed a wood furnace, which I'm, to be honest, not the greatest fan of, but theoretically he's right that you have to grow the wood in order to burn the wood. So they're carbon neutral in theory. We also frequently rent out the property, and we thought that people would really appreciate having a real fireplace. We decided for Ecobees. There are lots of videos on smart thermostats out there. I think in a nutshell, of course it always comes down to what you want, but Ecobees, you get a little bit more data to play with, and Nest is more convenient, more intuitive, and a little bit better on the intelligence part of the thing. Electric heaters are high voltage, which are typically not compatible with the low voltage 24 volts smart thermostats out there. However, of course, there's a hack, which is actually pretty straightforward. So you use a transformer combined with a relay, in this case the Aube RC840T-240, and you just follow the wire drawing on the instructions. If you want to run several heaters on the same circuit, you need to hook them together in parallel with wire nuts. We have 3 circuits, one in the studio, one in the living room, and one in the master bedroom. And the living room and the studio each have 2 2000 watt heaters that are in parallel on the same circuit.
Sustainability is a huge part of our lives, from the work we both do to how we try to live. Having a sustainable home has been really one of the most exciting pieces of that. There were times when, in the middle of this project, it was so frustrating that we just wanted to throw our hands up. And yeah, I think that being able to see it all the way through is something that makes us really proud.
For me, there was a big disconnect between, the things I think need to happen in the world and then maybe what we are actually ourselves doing. And so there's something extremely powerful in aligning your words and deeds, but it's 100% doable. And I personally feel when you're done, you look back and the way, you look at your life and you just feel so much happier and more proud, because you're literally running on sunshine.
Make sure you follow the code. I've seen lots of things out there that aren't according to code. On the one hand, you want to make sure that your home is safe. On the other hand, you want to make sure you pass the inspections and don't end up redoing things that take a long time. I had an inspector that took his job really seriously and actually wanted me to install locks at the breakers, which I hadn't had before in any of my projects. So let me know your thoughts, and in particular if you have questions about the code or any projects that I've done. And see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.